The top 8 snooker rivalries in snooker history. The electrifying clash of snooker titans keeps fans teetering on the edge of their seats. In the world of snooker, where precision meets suspense, the most significant stars engage in intense battles for supremacy and create moments so close and riveting that fans can't help but be fascinated. Join us as we uncover the greatest ever rivalries that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about snooker. At number 8, Fred Davis versus John Pulman. In the early days of snooker, Fred Davis and John Pulman were key figures in the sports rivalry. Before colour television and with a limited player pool, these two cue artists stood out. Joe Davis, Fred's brother, initially dominated, with 15 consecutive World Championship titles. His retirement in 1946 paved the way for Fred Davis, who secured titles in 1948, 1949 and 1951, including a notable 22-14 victory over Pulman in the 1951 semi-finals, marking the start of their significant encounters. Fred continued his success, winning in 1955 and 1956 against Pulman. However, Pulman turned the tide in 1964 and 1965 with scores of 19-16 and 37-36. The rivalry peaked as Pulman secured 5 consecutive wins in 1966. Davis made a comeback, winning the last 2 meetings that year. In the end, Pulman led their head-to-head record with 15 wins to Davis's 12. This historic snooker rivalry reflects the competitive spirit and defines the early days of the sport. At number 7, Ray Reardon versus John Spencer. In the late 1960s and early 70s, as snooker gained popularity, Ray Reardon and John Spencer became influential figures in the sport. Reardon's 6 world titles overshadowed Spencer's 3, hinting at dominance. But the reality was a closely contested rivalry. The Welshman's adept long potting and strategic skills clashed with the Englishman's break building and exceptional cue power. As snooker gained recognition with colour television, the duo featured in the first 2 finals of the BBC's Pot Black in 1969 and 1970. Their rivalry extended to consecutive World Championship semi-finals, with Reardon winning 37-33 in 1970, only for Spencer to triumph 34-15 the following year. Memorable encounters included a nail-biting 23-22 semi-final win for Dracula on his way to a second world title in 1973. Additionally, the inaugural Masters final in 1975 saw Spencer securing a 9-8 victory on the final black. Their 45 meetings resulted in a deadlocked 22 wins each, highlighting the parity of their rivalry. The last showdown occurred in the last 64 of the 1988 International Open, with Spencer narrowly edging out Reardon 5-4 in a fitting final frame decider. This balanced competition defined an era when Reardon and Spencer led the way in evolving the landscape of snooker. At number 6, Steve Davis versus Alex Higgins. In the 1980s snooker scene, Steve Davis and Alex Higgins were front and centre in a rivalry featured in the recent BBC iPlayer film The Rack Pack. Davis, known for his reserved style, embodied professionalism, putting in long hours of practice. On the other side was Higgins, the outgoing and flamboyant people's champion, snooker's first natural talent, instrumental in popularising the game. Their first big clash was in the 1980 World Championship quarter-finals, where Higgins won 13-9. However, the 23-year-old Davis bounced back with a solid 16-6 win in the final of the same year's UK Championship, the first of 3 finals between them. Davis kept the momentum going and clinched his first world titles in 1981 and 1983. Despite Higgins making a comeback with a 16-15 victory in the 1981 UK Championship, Davis stayed dominant and won 15 of their next 18 meetings. Their encounters included the 1988 Grand Prix final and their last clash in the last 32 of the 1989 British Open. The latter is noteworthy, as Higgins, playing for the first time since breaking his foot, hopped around the table for each shot, showing resilience and determination. At number 5, Stephen Hendry vs Jimmy White. The showdown between Stephen Hendry and Jimmy White is a big deal in snooker history, kind of like those epic matchups from the previous decade. Hendry, the pro, faced off against White, the crowd pleaser with a flair for the game. They clashed in 4 world titles, and each time Hendry came out on top. Hendry kicked off this rivalry by winning the first of 3 consecutive Masters semi-final meetings on his way to the 1990 title. He grabbed his first world crown with an 18-12 win at the Crucible later that year. Hendry kept the dominance going, rallying from a 14-8 deficit to win 18-14 in 1992 and breezing past White with an 18-5 triumph in 1993. In the crucial moment of the 1994 final, at 17-17, White, often called the nearly man, missed a crucial black and let Hendry calmly seal the victory with a 57 break. Their major clashes dwindled as both players moved past their prime, but White's fans got a boost with his solid 10-4 win over Hendry in the Crucible's opening round in 1998. A nostalgic clash went down in the 2010 UK Championship's first round, a tense 17-frame battle where Hendry came out on top again, edging past White 9-8. This rivalry between Hendry and White is a big part of snooker history, as it is packed with exciting matchups. Before we move on to number 4, please be sure to subscribe to our channel. At number 4, Ronnie O'Sullivan vs Mark Selby. The rivalry between Ronnie O'Sullivan and Mark Selby is a clash of styles. O'Sullivan's flair and quick play against Selby's tactical approach and never give up attitude. O'Sullivan nicknamed Selby the Torturer in his 2013 autobiography for his determination, especially when trailing in matches. Their memorable encounters kicked off in the 2007 UK Championship semi-finals, where O'Sullivan pulled off a remarkable 9-8 victory, including a final frame 147. The drama continued in the 2008 Welsh Open final, with Selby coming back from 8-5 down to win 9-8. Across various tournaments, O'Sullivan and Selby traded victories. O'Sullivan dominated the 2008 Premier League final with a 7-2 win and followed up with a 10-8 triumph in the first of their 3 Masters final showdowns. However, Selby showed his trademark recovery in 2010, rallying from 9-6 down to stun O'Sullivan 10-9. Their encounters had ups and downs. Selby's 4-3 victory in the 2013 European Tour's Antwerp Open and O'Sullivan's decisive 10-4 win in the 2014 Masters final, countered by Selby's impressive comeback from 8-3 and 10-5 down to secure an 18-14 triumph at the Crucible. In the recent Masters clash, O'Sullivan triumphed 6-3 in the quarter-finals and brought his head-to-head record against Selby to 12-8. With their distinct styles, O'Sullivan and Selby promise more exciting showdowns in the future. At number 3, Ronnie O'Sullivan vs Stephen Hendry. Before the 2002 World Championship semi-final clash between Ronnie O'Sullivan and Stephen Hendry, tension built in Sheffield as the Rocket launched a verbal attack the night before the match. Referring to a past issue that caused O'Sullivan to have no respect for Hendry, the defending champion expressed his desire to quickly send Hendry home to Scotland for a summer break. The most satisfying thing for me would be to send him home to Scotland as quickly as possible for a nice summer off. Despite O'Sullivan's verbal jabs, Hendry stayed composed. The ensuing semi-final played out with Hendry emerging victorious, securing a 17-13 win. However, Hendry's journey concluded with a loss to Peter Ebdon in the final. At number 2, Mark Allen vs Stuart Bingham. Leading up to their 2011 Australian Goldfields Open quarter-final, Mark Allen and Stuart Bingham faced serious tension. Allen sparked the feud by claiming that Bingham had no bottle. Despite Allen's comment, Bingham won the match, secured the tournament title, and marked the first professional win of his career. Instead of dampening the rivalry, Allen's remark added fuel to the competition. Over time, the two players patched things up. Stuart Bingham openly admitted that Allen's casual comment inspired his 2015 World Championship victory. What started as verbal sparring evolved into a story of mutual respect and sportsmanship between Mark Allen and Stuart Bingham. At number 1, Quintin Hahn vs Andy Hicks. In the 2004 World Championship, things got tense between Quintin Hahn and Andy Hicks, and it wasn't just about the game. The Crucible atmosphere was charged, and after a rocky ending, with Hicks winning, tensions went through the roof. When they shook hands, Hicks threw in a comment, "That's you out of the top 16, making things even more heated. This led to a not-so-friendly exchange and a bit of a scuffle, forcing the referee to step in and break them up. In response, Hahn supposedly fired back with, "You're short and bald and always will be, and I'll fight you in the street for 50 grand anytime you like." Hicks passed on the offer, and instead, Mark King, also bald, stepped up to face Hahn in the ring. For more great snooker videos, click on the screen now.